With hunting season upon us, today we're going to be using a venison backstrap with a whiskey brown sugar glaze. We're going to be using our sous vide machine to maintain a nice texture and to make it nice and tender before we grill it on the Camp Chef. Be back in a few and we'll show you how it's all put together. Welcome back to the Wayward Gourmands. This is Keith. You heard right, it's hunting season, so today we're going to be working with some beautiful venison backstrap. Today I'm going to be putting together a whiskey brown sugar glaze that'll knock your socks off. It's absolutely fantastic. You can use this on the venison. I've done it on flat iron steaks. It just comes out remarkable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the venison aside for now, and I'm just going to get our bowl out, and I'm going to put together a marinade that's also going to become the glaze. So we're going to start off with a half a cup of your favorite whiskey. Today we're using Jack Daniels. Brown sugar, hence the name Whiskey Brown Sugar Glaze. Little salt and pepper. Some molasses, about a tablespoon. A couple squirts of Worcestershire. And we're going to whisk that together till the brown sugar dissolves. And once that dissolves, we're going to add a couple tablespoons of olive oil. And some minced garlic. Come on now, don't be shy. Now once we get this all whisked together, whisked. We're just going to put the back strap in there. Make sure it's nice and submerged. And we're just going to leave that for a couple minutes to let it absorb some of the flavors. And then we're going to get it in the sous vide bag. So I'll be back in a minute after I let this marinate for a couple minutes. And we'll get it in the sous vide. Okay, so we let this marinate for about 15 minutes. I got my sous vide bag prepped, folded it over, so in case you splash a little on the side, you fold it up and you get a clean seal anyway. Or you can use Ziploc. It doesn't matter what you use in the sous vide machine as long as it's airtight and you get all the air out. So we're going to get this in the bag. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a spoonful of the marinade in there, just maybe a little bit more, just for a little extra moisture in there. Because this is a very lean cut of meat, and even though we're sous videing it and it keeps all the moisture in, it's still going to have a dryish texture, so I wanted to put a little bit in there to try and put a little extra moisture into it. So I'm going to get this vacuum sealed. I'm not going to show you how to vacuum seal, because if you have a vacuum sealer, you know how to vacuum seal. So I'll be back in a minute. We'll get this in. We're going to put it in a 130-degree water bath for 4 hours. 130 degrees Fahrenheit for 4 hours. And we'll see how it all comes out when we're done and ready to sear. And I'm going to start boiling this down so we can get it into the glaze. Okay, we got it vacuum sealed. Everything is looking tight. There's no leaks or anything like that. So we're just going to get it into the water, 130 degrees. And we will look at this in 4 hours. So I'll see you guys back in about 4 hours. Hey, welcome back. I was thinking, because I got time on this sous vide, we got, a couple hours left. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a side dish that goes well with it. It's a vinegar potato. And so I have these baby Yukon Golds that I'm just going to cut into bite-sized pieces. You can use the full-size Yukon Golds. You just want to get them down small enough that it doesn't take them forever to cook. And what we're going to do is I'm going to cover these with cold water. I'm going to bring it to a boil and let them go for about 15 minutes until they're nice and tender. And then I'm going to let them drain and let the heat dry them out a little bit. I'm going to just cover them with a little olive oil so they get all nice and ready. And then I'm going to sear them really nice and quick in a hot pan. And then the last step, I'm going to sprinkle them with a little vinegar, some salt and pepper, and let me tell you, they're fantastic. Be back in a minute as soon as I get these going on. Bring the marinade up to a boil in a pot. Keep whisking it because there is sugar in it. You don't want that to burn.
Reduce it by about half, could take 10-15 minutes depending on how rapid of a boil you're doing. And then pour it into a bowl and use it for the glaze.
Okay, so had the potatoes simmering for about 15 minutes till they were fork tender. Let them drain, let them sit in the drainer there and let their own heat dry them out a little bit. And to that, we're going to put them in a bowl, and I'm going to add about a tablespoon of olive oil and just give them a toss just to coat them. And we're going to set these aside just for now. Now, onto the glaze. This was the marinade that we used, and as you saw in the pot, I had it boiling at a pretty good rate, over like medium-high heat, whisking it pretty much constantly because there is sugar in this and you don't want it to burn. Once that burns, it's going to get a really bad flavor. But I reduced it by about half. It's not like a syrup, but it's thicker than, you know, like a broth or something like that. But we're going to be brushing this on as we're searing the venison. Okay, so be back in a couple minutes, and we're going to get the venison out of here, and we're going to finish this up. I'm going to heat my cast iron pan on the grill. I was going to finish it on the Camp Chef. One problem with that is you need propane. You need propane. Lesson learned. So, I'll be back in a minute, and we're going to put this all together into a beautiful plate, and you're going to see how it turns out. Okay, welcome back. What we're going to do now is I'm going to remove it from the sous vide, which went for 4 hours at 130 degrees. And we're just going to cut this out of here. Oh, it smells fantastic. And I know it looks a little gray, but we're going to put a nice crust on this and we're going to glaze it. But you want to get it nice and dry so you get a really good crust on it. Just a little bit of paper towels, pat it dry. All right, now I got my cast iron smoking hot right now. So I'm going to bring the camera around so you can see how this gets seared and put the glaze on it. It comes out perfect. Be back in a minute. Come on over.
Okay, first off, I'm going to apologize for this area of the video and the resolution. I did have some problems with my recordings. This was the best that I was able to salvage out of the video. So first we're going to lay this piece of venison into this screaming hot cast iron pan. And then we're going to just brush on some of that glaze that we originally marinated it in. And you saw that we boiled it down to, you know, about half the volume. So it was a little bit thicker. It wasn't really too like molasses or anything. It was just a little bit thicker than liquid. So once we get that brushed on there, and we had it searing for, 15, 20 seconds on the one side, because remember, this is fully cooked. We're just trying to get a crust on the outside. Flip it over. We're going to paint some more of that on there, get another good coating on there, while the glazed side is now down in the pan, getting a nice caramelization. We're just going to brush this on, and then we're going to flip this back over so this gets caramelized just for a couple seconds. Now in this, we're doing it with the cast iron pan. I was going to do it with a grill outside, except for the propane issue. Both ways work fantastic. So take your pick.
Okay, once we sear the meat, we're going to turn down the heat a little bit. It's going to really maintain that high heat though for a bit. But you toss these in oil. We're going to get the potatoes in the pan. Just give them a quick toast on them. Get them back in the bowl. Finish the dressing. And then we'll put a nice plate together. And we'll see how this goes.
Okay, we're going to dump the potatoes in the pan. You really don't need to put anything in the pan because we tossed these in oil earlier, if you remember, after we dried them out after boiling them. Now you just want to go through, separate them, make sure nothing is stuck together. Just give them a little bit of a fry in that hot pan. Season it with just salt and pepper. You're going to be adding a little bit more seasoning to it later in the way of vinegar and a little bit more olive oil. After you get the salt and pepper in the pan, just again, move them around, give them a nice crisp on the outside, and that's really all they need.
Okay, after we got a little bit of char on the potatoes, not super charred, just a little crispy on the outside. All right, so to this, we're gonna add the last tablespoon of olive oil, a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar, and a good pinch of parsley. And we're gonna give them a good spin in the bowl here. Oh, it smells fantastic. Nice little tanginess from the potatoes. All right, so those are ready. Let's carve this up. We get a nice slice right in the middle. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful. Beautiful. All right, I'm gonna slice these. Some nice little medallions. It's so tender, it's just wiggling around while I'm trying to cut it. I mean, look at that. Oh, gorgeous. Gorgeous. All right, I'm gonna plate this up, get a good shot of it, and then we'll give it a taste. Be back in a minute. All right, as you can see, it's absolutely gorgeous. I'm just gonna have to dig right in. I mean, if you look at that, it's pink, edge to edge with just that little bit of gray around from the sear. And it's just super tender. And I'm just gonna have to give it a little meat and potato love here. It's so tender. Now, if you've had venison before, it's almost got like a little liverish texture to it. And that flavor, because I guess of the iron and everything in your system, it's just so good. And the sous vide made it super tender. I really hope you try this. Especially, I mean, if you don't like venison, too gamey for you, I'm telling you, try this with like a filet or a flat iron steak or something. It would be absolutely fantastic. I'd like to thank you guys for coming back to the Wayward Gourmands. Keep an eye out. We're gonna be doing a whole bunch more videos, and just give a shout out to my man at Apex Knife Sharpening, who set me up with this beautiful backstrap. Absolutely love it. He's a great person to bring your knives to. He's sharpened up some beauties for me. I'll tell you what, look him up. I'm gonna put his URL down below here. Absolutely fantastic. Gentleman explains everything he's doing, and the price is great. Again, thank you very much for coming back to the Wayward Gourmands. If you like this video, please hit like and subscribe. Leave a comment below if you tried it. Love to hear from you. I try and respond back to all of them. See you next time on the Wayward Gourmands.